Yes. All right. For the recording, welcome back. We are Nagarjuna Investigators. May 8th, 2024. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, and see them there with you. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you. They are smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiates from them. That beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try to help fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. We're learning that this is possible. We're even learning how it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And thinking of karma and emptiness, Grow that longing into an intention. The intention to make the karma through which you will go on to help that other in that deep and ultimate way. And yet we still don't quite understand. What do I have to do? And so we turn our minds back to that precious holy guide. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, please teach us that. We are so grateful that they agree. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us using our refuge prayer. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kaunirya Tayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this investigation and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that we do in sharing this investigation and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that we do in sharing in this investigation and the rest, may all beings reach their total awakening for the benefit of every other. Okay. Did we have a quiz from last week?
We don't have a quiz, but we had a task that you gave us to think
Okay.
about. So the task was about the analogy that you gave us, and we shall think about the differences between dreaming and not knowing that you're dreaming and knowing that you're dreaming, and the same thing also with samsara. What's the difference about being in and not knowing, or being in and knowing?
Yeah. So how'd that go? Anybody want to share?
I can start.
Please.
So for me, it's interestingly that when I'm dreaming and I don't know that I'm dreaming, sometimes those dreams can really be scary. So I more often recognize that it's the scary dreams when I don't know that I'm dreaming, and then I'm really fuzzy when I wake up. And it's not that like, oh, this dream is over. So there were more of the other ones, really scary. But I thought that it's interesting that when I'm knowing that I'm dreaming, it's actually quite fun, because the things that are happening, even if they are scary, somehow a part of my mind knows It's just a dream. It's not real. So when you wake up, everything is gone. And it's kind of ease. And even sometimes I manage to manipulate the dream. So just kind of add something that I couldn't add when I'm awake, but while dreaming, it's working. Like, for example, just switching the scenes. I used to do that as a kid. If there was something really scary and I knew that I'm dreaming, then I was switching over to the smurfs. How do you call those little blue guys? There was this cartoon with the
Oh,
Smurfs.
Smurfs, right.
Smurfs. And they were at the beginning, they were singing and dancing in the circle, and this was somehow my refuge at that time when I had a scary dream. I was always switching just to the other scene. I was seeing the Smurfs dancing around, and then I was fine again. But when I was thinking about Sansara, it was interestingly because most of the day I just don't recognize that this also is kind of illusion. And I really think it's real. And I'm not so sure about how to switch scenes or do things to change my reality, even though from the classes we know that we can. But I don't really feel like I can, at least not in the moment.
Right.
So this was for me a big difference to think about. And the only time I'm aware that we are in Sansara is actually when we are in class and all the time talking about that this
Right.
is nothing like it seems. But in daily life, it usually slips away, for me at least.
Yeah, me too. Nice. Anybody else?
Teacher, can I share?
Please. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, teacher. Okay, for my case is there's one period of time. If I'm dreaming, I'm in a city with nobody, meaning an empty town. And I feel like there are, how to say, monster in the hiding somewhere in the, like I'm very scared. It's like I'm in the monster town with nobody. Then I was trying to run away. But the weird thing is, in the dream, I am very clear in my mind that I am dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
I am very clear that I can tell myself in the dream, oh, Vivian, you are in the dream. You are in this haunted town. You are in this haunted city. Vivian, you need to wake up. I tell myself to wake up from the dream. And then I can wake up. And then after a few months, I also, let's say I dream again. I'm in maybe chasing by something or something, right? But I feel very scared. I'm not calm. I want to run away from the ghost or something. I feel very like very scared. It's like I'm I'm the actor inside. I'm the actor inside. Then after I wake up, right, I sweat. I feel my heart pumping so fast. Then I realize there is very two different kind of dream. This dream, I'm super calm. I know I'm in the dream, even though I know it's a haunted city. But I can tell myself, hey, you are just in a dream. Please wake up from your dream. Then I really wake up, but I feel very calm. But this dream, I'm part of the actor in the dream, running from the ghost or monster. So I realized then I try to analyze why I have these two different emotion, two different mind. Why I know I'm dreaming, and this one I don't know that I'm dreaming. I'm the actor.
Right.
Then I realized one very important thing. Because that particular month I do meditation diligently, I can control my mind even when I'm dreaming. And then when that month I lazy to do meditation. Then I realized when I'm dreaming, I cannot control my mind. I cannot even ask myself to wake up. I cannot even tell myself I'm in the dream because I already part of the movie.
Right.
That is my realization. I realize when I do my meditation diligently, I can control my mind in the dream.
Right.
When I don't do meditation, I'm the actor in the dream.
Right. Right.
That's my realization.
Very nice. Very nice. And so you're describing this experience where when you're aware of dreaming,
Mm.
you're able to not have those automatic reactions to what's
No.
going on in the dream.
Yes, yes.
And
It's like I'm watching a movie. I'm part of I'm separate from the
right,
scene. Yeah. I'm
Right.
watching the movie,
right. And then when you're not
meditating.
aware, you are in the dream and you
I'm
are
in the movie. Yeah.
experiencing it, right? And then when you wake up, you realize you really were experiencing it, right? Because
Yes. Because my heart pumping very fast.
you have the fear reaction going on in your body.
Yes.
Mhm.
Whereas with the other one, you didn't have that.
No, I feel like separated
Yeah.
from me. Yeah.
No.
So think about samsara. So like everybody gets that picture.
Mhm.
Think about our world experience in which we are in the movie. We are the actor in the movie, not the movie goer, not the watcher in the movie. We are the movie goer. No, we are the actor in the movie. And we believe, like as a good actor, you take on your character so much that somehow you believe that what you're doing in your movie scene, right, is reality at that moment. And so you feel and you react and you, right, all the things that we are supposed to do as human beings in a world of other things and other beings. And we react, and then we get the physical reactions and the emotional reactions, and we go from one to the next to the next to the next with these automatic reactings, with the misperception of thinking we're somehow in charge, being the actor. Can you imagine going through your life being the watcher of the movie, like being the knowing you're dreaming being, in which case, all those perceived threats, you're that one step removed. You can wake yourself up at any moment. Sort of the analogy fails there, but imagine how reactive would I be if I were aware of my moment to moment life happening with that same kind of awareness of when I'm aware of dreaming. And part of the aware of dreaming is, oh, it's not real. So even if something terrible happens, it's just a dream. I'll wake up and it didn't happen. But when we apply that to samsara, I don't know, we teeter on this line between becoming hugely more functional and the opposite of becoming totally dysfunctional. Because if we think, all I have to do is wake up from this samsaric experience and the boogeyman will go away. Guess what? There's something about samsara that we can't just decide like we can just decide in a dream. So the analogy falls short in that sense. But in terms of how, if in a dream, we can be aware that we're dreaming and so not have those emotional reactions going on, it tells us that we have the capacity to do that in the wake state. If we can do it in the dreaming state, we have the capacity. Right? Oh, just in the dreaming state. Yeah, but, right, we're planting seeds. We should be able to do similar in the waking state, not by wanting it, not by deciding it, but by creating the causes for it. And when we're in one of those reaction situations in samsara, and we have the wherewithal to be able to step back and be the observer, especially while it's going on, if you can do that. And we check out who and what is making me feel the way I'm feeling. And whatever skill that we've developed through our Dharma career, we can apply in the moment. We're so sure that my bad feeling is they're making me feel badly like that. And our Nagarjuna says, where does what they're saying touch you in time? Where in place? Where does this reaction to what they just said, where is it in them that comes flying at you that makes you feel it, right? We analyze those three spheres, and he's giving us all these different windows of opportunity for analyzing those things. And it's hard to do when you're in the moment, right? Somebody's threatening us in some way, yelling, driving too fast, whatever our particular mental affliction is. And so it's important to use some other time to reflect back on those events and see if we can find a recurring theme. Because probably all those life events that upset us will find some similarity in our reaction to those life events. Either we feel disrespected, or we feel taken advantage of, or right, we can find our own pet negative reaction, and then we can start investigating that. And how does that serve me, and how doesn't it serve me, and why does that feeling interpret it in that way, right? All these different ways that we can look at those habits. That process is like being awake in the dream. And then little by little, we find ourselves being in that mode of being more the observer of my life than being the actor in the movie. And it's disconcerting, actually, because it feels like you're not truly involved with life. And people have said to me, I've reached that place where I'm the observer, and it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel real. And it's like, I agree. And the thing is, the authentic, real, full-on experience me is a suffering me. So somewhere along the way, we kind of need to make this decision. Am I willing to feel like I'm not really fully participating in life because I'm the observer for a while? And then as our wisdom grows, that sense of being distant, you can be the observer and not be distant. Being the observer buys you that time to also observe your reaction, right? Your emotion that comes up through which you're going to let fly, or, say something to wiggle out of something, or, say something to make sure the other person knows you know more than they do, or whatever your specialty is. When we're the observer, we can observe that what impulse to react coming up and decide, is that the best thing to say or do right now? If we're the actor in the movie or in the play, we're just acting, right? We're on automatic pilot. An automatic pilot has included in it the mistaken view that their identity is in them, my identity is in me. We are two existing things that come together, and sometimes it's pleasant and sometimes it's not. And either way, it's their fault. And that's a mistaken view that perpetuates obvious suffering, the suffering of change, and pervasive suffering, right? Just this flow of birth, aging, death that we've been talking about in chapter 11, or death, birth, aging, or aging, death, birth, however you want to think of it, driven by this mistake that believes they did that to me, or even that believes I did that to them. But then when I even hear myself saying that, it's like, oh, so none of it's really true. So it's all just a dream. And so nothing matters. My mind goes there. I know better, but I feel it. Well, if there's no me and no them and no interaction between them, what the hell, right? And it's like wrong. When we say there's no nature, subject, object, interaction between, none of them have any nature, we don't mean they don't exist at all. And Arya Nagarjuna is going to great length to help us weed out that wrong flop over into, well, it doesn't matter at all, or they don't exist at all, and bring us back to that middle way. Something else is going on. And we're getting better at it, I think. Yeah. So yes, Joanna.
I was thinking at some point when thinking about this task that it actually would really be helpful to have this little voice in my mind that I have when I'm dreaming and I know that I'm dreaming, and also to have this frightening sensation during my daily life, like this is samsara, to have this shiver. It's because for me, there's a difference between when I try to see the emptiness in the situations that I perceive when I'm awake. Sometimes I catch myself trying to think about the emptiness of the situation, but I get stuck. So it's empty. But when I'm in a dream and I have this little voice saying it's not real, I usually feel kind of possibilities, what I could do. And I usually get over this, I'm not so stuck. So at the moment or the point where I am in my process, it would be quite helpful to have in daily life this emotions and this voice, like when Vivian said there's this monster town and there's, they are waiting in every shadow in every corner and it. It would be so cool to see my mental afflictions, hiding in the corner, and this voice is always saying, beware. Right. So I would differently react, but I see the point that at some time you would think it's not real, any of it. So
right. So the little voice, I'm gonna be bold and say, I suspect Arya Nagarjuna would say, have your little voice be saying, not the way I think, not real, just not the way I think it is, not the way I think, not the way it seems. Because we want our conclusion to be, so I'm not gonna act or react in the way my human me thinks I should. That's the conclusion we want to get from thinking the emptiness, or it's not real, it's not the way I think. And so I can behave differently than the way my automatic would. Okay, if it's not happening the way I think it's happening, well, then I can act differently. And let's
But
see what happens.
No, but this is the difference to being awake and being in a dream. In a dream, I usually have the feeling that kind of I have super magic power. I can do things and the situation. And when I'm out of a dream, I'm really in my daily life. I get the point of it's not like it seems, but then I get stuck because I don't feel that I can do things. It's kind of I'm getting stuck in my reaction. At least it's good to shut up. Most of the situations, just shut up. It's nice. But then, you know, to get over this and kind of really get into this working mode, really doing things in a way that would be good for us and for others. This is the thing that is missing yet in the daily life, but it's a possibility in the dream.
Yes, good, good, good.
Mm.
You know, there's a very advanced level of practice in the Diamond Way, which is developing lucid dreaming. And they say that the only reason to learn to lucid dream is so that when you're in your dream, you are being your tantric deity, doing what tantric deities do, right? Which is help everybody. Just you are impervious and you know what everybody wants, and you love them so much that you step in the middle of an altercation, you know, and you take the blows and it doesn't matter, and you fix it, and you end up with the two, you know, people who were fighting ending up hugging and kissing and loving each other. And right, I mean, you can do anything in a dream, right? So be a Buddha in your dream, not like but be your Buddha emanations in a dream. Are you making mental imprints in your dream? Yes.
And the difference is I'm afraid when I'm awake that it will hurt me. In a dream, I'm not. When I'm knowing I can't get hurt, I'm much more bold.
Right.
So the fear of me getting hurt or lose things is much higher or kicks in when I'm not dreaming.
Exactly. Exactly. And can we get hurt? Yes. Right. Our body can get injured. Our emotions, our feelings can get hurt. You know, our mind can get mentally upset. Yes, we can get hurt. But in a dream, we can get hurt too. It's just when we wake up, we go, oh, phew, just a dream. I didn't really get hurt. If your identity, whoa, if our identity has shifted from this self-existent me, that things are happening to my body, my emotions, my mind, my personality. If that has, I don't know how to describe, grown, expanded, to where your body, you have your relationship with your body is more like your relationship with your car, then when somebody or something hurts it, it's like, doggone it, you know, now a big dent in the car, or I've got to get a new tire, right? But you fix it and you go on. It's not as big as a disaster when our relationship to the body is less me and more, this is one of my tools. Because our identity of the being the subject side when we're identifying as subject side, subject side, subject side, subject side, which is constantly changing, but never the same two moments in a row anyway, our attachment, our reactivity to what's going on, right, towards this body stuff, these emotions, the reactivity smooths out when our identity has expanded to this ongoing nature of being. I don't even want to say self, ongoing nature of being. All of that reactivity gets less. And I lost my train of thought. And we can cultivate this sensitivity to, like, what am I going to plant next? Right? We're just looking for how we're creating rather than how we're reacting. When we are full on invested in this thing, in being that actor in the movie, we are focused on react. And we somehow believe that our reacting is the reward. But our reacting isn't the reward, right? Our reacting is actually the planting. So if we can respond instead of react, which we can do better if we've got this little bit of observer mode, or the little voice inside saying, respond, instead of react. We're doing responses in relation to events that maybe even seem completely unrelated to the actual event. And I don't know, it's like maybe you're in a committee meeting and you've offered an idea and everybody's told you why that's the stupidest idea in the world. And so they all expect you to come out defending your idea as the best idea and putting down everybody else's idea to show that my idea is better. But instead you go, I guess I've not listened to others. And so instead I say, okay, well, tell me more about your idea and why it's a better idea, right? To just turn the table instead of defending my own idea like everybody expects. This watcher me goes, oh, no wonder they don't want to hear about it because I haven't been listening to them. That the whole, everybody involved goes, well, that's a surprise, because they all expected me to behave in one way and I did the opposite. And I'd only be able to do that if my watcher me kicked in and said, you know, why is everybody rejecting me? And not run away from that and not come out fighting, but rather recognize, okay, my seeds brought this up. Let's respond differently, right? So it takes the awareness in the moment of the old reaction coming up and then the decision, the awareness to say, no, I'm going to try on something else. We don't know for sure if the something else that we choose to do instead is going to work. All we know is that I'm planting seeds while I'm doing it. It may or may not work in the moment, but neither does turning the key on the car to start it. Nothing we do works in the moment. We just think it does. So if nothing else from Arya Nagarjuna, I hope we're getting, the wow factor when something does work. It's like, wow, it worked, which helps us get off automatic pilot. Okay, I've got 2 hands up. I don't know who came first, but I'll just go on my screen. Natty's up to the left. What you got?
Um, Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to say that it was very helpful what you said about how we disassociate, because that's what I wanted to share, that in a dream, I realized that I recognize when I dreamed at night that when I wake up, I haven't been in my body. And we all know that we have to remember who we are when we woke up, but several instances when my mom was cooking in the kitchen and there was a smell of what she was cooking, and when I woke up, I can feel it, and all of a sudden I knew the difference, that before that I couldn't feel it. Before this moment, there were dreams, I was having experiences, but I wasn't able to have this sensation of the smell from the kitchen. And so in the dreams, we are definitely somewhere. This was for me very profound, to understand, to notice that I'm not in my body, but somewhere else. And in my dreams, I'm also in other bodies. Sometimes I'm somebody else completely. I'm not me, even not a human being. I've been a river or a bird or something very, very different from who I am now. And you mentioned that this association is happening. But then on the other side, when I'm drawing and doing art or doing something creative, I also disassociate, and the ideas are coming from connecting to something bigger, or maybe not connecting, but there is something that is not me, that is, well, I'm having these ideas, but they're not coming from me.
Right.
So there is also this association. But then there are practices like pranayama, breathing exercises, where combined with yoga awareness, where I can experience the room around me and the whole city, the whole area of the state or the planet expansion. And that's at the same time, and I'm trying to experience my own self, but expand itself. And then it's very interesting how those states balance emotional states. So expanded state of me being aware of much bigger, and it's like what bodhisattva are, just to expanding this bag of skin,
Right.
being larger to those experiences. And and not just being larger, but allowing those, yes, being larger, but also allowing a lot more of a stream of information, expanding not just awareness, but I have done also practices where after being in those states, another energy starts to flow, like it's maybe the Shushumna open, or whatever. I don't know exactly what's happening technically, but there is a sense of flow of energy. And first it's like a torus rotating, and then there is a flow up, downward or upward. Both, I've experienced it both ways. And it's a very profound and very it's balancing the nervous system, balancing healing also. I have experienced healing of my body through those states.
Right. So our tradition would say, all of those are valid experiences and useful experiences, and are best used in a way that helps us come to a more accurate intellectual understanding of the no self nature of self and other, leading to the direct experience of the no self nature. So all of what we're talking about is supposed to be funneling us towards gathering the goodness to be able to experience emptiness directly. And Natty uses that word dissociate. And in clinical psychology, that's a bad word. You're not supposed to dissociate, right? It means you're not reacting normally. It means you become dysfunctional in your choices. But in our spiritual life, we're trying to cultivate a very high level of dissociation at the same time as being more fully engaged, right, in our interaction with others, but from this totally different state of heart, right? We're dissociating from our ignorant, self-existent me. We're trying to dissociate from our selfishness, not from our reality, and replace that selfishness with, I wish there was a word, otherishness, right? And any experience of feeling an expanded consciousness where you become more inclusive of others, if that's done with a wisdom state of mind, that's little instances of bodhicitta. If it's done with that ignorant state of mind, we're just we get the wrong conclusion. It's like, oh, there's something special about me that I can have this expanded state. Or when we come back in, we still believe, well, they're all still out there separate from me. I just had this awareness, right? So our interpretation of our experiences is as important as the experiences itself. And our samsaric habit is to interpret it by way of me in me, and that experience and the others involved in the experience still in them. Okay? If our experience doesn't show us that isn't true, then it's an interesting experience, but not necessarily helpful. Helpful for healing, I'm not discounting. But what I wanted to point out is the idea of dissociation. We're using it as a good thing. But if we dissociate and we take our selfish nature, me, if we dissociate along with our selfish nature, me, we're in trouble. Right? Really, literally in trouble. So
Right.
dissociating from self-existent me, not from me and my world.
Right.
To leave our selfishness behind.
And what I wanted to say that it's helpful for me to get this connection to the something higher.
Yes.
To stay with me, and then I'm able to look at things that are happening from the perspective, not the small me.
Yes.
But the bigger.
Good. Perfect. Kongli, you've been very patient.
Very interesting to listen, and I find that this is an interesting question. Okay. I share a little bit of my room, whether it related to this one, and if let's say dreams when we sleep is like another scenario, and then our life is the projection. I consider it as a dream, and then and since I study the emptiness, then you know what I do is like, you know, when I face problem, so I will use the problem to see where is the emptiness side of it, you know. So like for example, during my work, if let's say my boss say I don't want to take this job, and then the customer say, can you do it for me? I'm in the middle. So then I'll think, where is the emptiness? Where is the emptiness? Okay, the boss say don't want, and then the customer say, you do it for me. Then eventually, you know what, I come up with a solution. If let's say I inform my customer, if let's say I finish this job, can you give me cash? He said yes. Okay, then deal. Then I inform my boss, okay, solve the case. Then, you know, so you know, mostly now what I do is like, you know, I you know, not to say purposely, but you know, more likely that, you know, I'll take up more responsibility, and then I have the chance to face more problem, and then from the problem, and I see how I solve, you know, each one of them, you know, using, I consider it as a break-even point, you know, so clear one after another, and then and I feel from that, you know, when I try to solve it one by one, then later on, if let's say there's another problem come up, and then I have the sort of like, you know, more, not to say ability, but more stable when I face problem. Yeah, this is, you know, I don't know whether it's related, but I feel that this is, you know, real life dream where I have to face it and I have to solve it. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And you say you recognize that you're more stable going through life
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
when you have this perspective.
Yeah. And you know, another case is like, you know, I flight to Thailand to attend you know, Geshe's course, Lamri. And then that one even create more problem. And then from there I solve one after another. That one is because I go to the wrong airport, and then they meet up at another airport. Then from there I have to go there and find them. That one is very interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Really interesting. Just me alone there. Okay, see, okay, so how you going to solve it then? Blah, blah, blah. One after another. I don't have, yeah, my handphone, no battery, and then I have no card, and then I don't know where they are, and then so one after another. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty helpful when you have a day like that. And you realize if I'd had a day like this before I met the Dharma, I would be completely unglued. No, but now, since I have the tools with the Dharma, it's like, all right, all right,
Yeah.
right, burn it off, create new, burn it off, create new.
The break even is that because after learning that, you know, the emptiness is the basic ground, because things is not from them, it's not self-existent, then actually there's a point where we can break it, but I don't know where is it when I face problems. Then I mean, if let's say I can see it, then next time this is not a problem to me, something like that. Yeah.
Right. Nice. Roxana.
Oh, thank you, Jadama. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. It's been quite interesting. And I've been recalling a lot of things just by listening and going a little bit to the topic with the beginning and the ending. Well, I think in my dreams, there's no beginning and no ending. I'm just the middle part.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I'm going to be dreaming about. I do not select my dreams. I can only leave a short part of it. And then when I wake up, it's gone, or I don't even, or it's gone before I wake up. So I don't even know the final story of the dream.
Right.
But in the past, I remember that I used to recall my dreams, and I wanted so badly to know exactly the interpretations of the dreams that I could even find I would Google a book where it says interpretations of your dreams, and I don't know who writes it or what's the background behind it. If you dream with butterflies, or if you dream with, I don't know, any topic, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of gave me a relief. Oh, that's what I'm dreaming about. Like the emptiness explanation during those times. But also as during my life when I've had a hard task or a problem, like when I was studying engineering, and I never have liked to stay up late for night. Never, never, never. So I would say I'll go to bed and I'll solve it in my dreams. And when I get up, I'll have the answers and I'll be fresh and relaxed. And that's what I used to do. I would solve those engineering problems or those physics or maths or whatever. I would solve it in my dreams.
Nice.
And I guess that's part of the experience that Lama says, that we are able to do absolutely everything also in our dreams, that we do have the capacity of solving so many things. I just recall that I used to look for the answers in a book. I don't anymore. I don't know. Guess it's been years now. I had forgotten about it, to be honest, until right now. And sometimes I feel, and sometimes somebody else is feeling in the dreams. So like there's so many different aspects in a dream that you can relate to when you're aware of the dream.
Right.
And you question yourselves, why am I dreaming this? Why is this bringing it up? I remember a very vivid dream that I had a couple of years ago when I saw myself in one of my past lives. But it must have been, how my teeth were, how I was dressed, how I was sitting, and how my hair was. Probably must have been thousands of years back. So I guess it has a relationship to do with our past lives as well, that it brings up memories, that it brings those imprints to ripen up, and sometimes we do not even know how to interpret them.
Right.
So I guess the important thing here is, after the dream, what follows? What seeds am I going to want to imprint on those? If I want to burn them off, or if I want to perpetuate them. So thank you,
Right.
Lama, for listening, and everybody.
Right. And so does waking life have to be all that different than dreaming life? They're both seeds ripening experiences. Curious. So what would it be like to go through your life awake to samsara, like we're hearing those who are lucid dreamers go through a dream awake, right? Being awake to the dream. What would it be like to go through your life? Being awake to samsara, what would that mean to you?
Being awake to samsara?
Yeah. Janet, you unmuted, but didn't raise your hand. You're wondering, do I dare say?
I mean, life is predictable, right? I mean, if this is a training mode, right? If this is the Matrix training mode, and life is predictable, you're guaranteed you're gonna get angry, and you're guaranteed you're gonna be able to practice on that specific thing.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I mean, I realize that our teachings, the Dharma teachings, are for people that have mental afflictions. We're
Yes.
supposed to have mental afflictions.
Yes.
So they're glad we have mental afflictions. We're not like the unruly Bengali guy. We actually have mental afflictions. It's gonna happen. And so we're supposed to look at it like, okay, we're angry. Where's this coming from? It's coming from us. And then where of us that affliction? And then when you don't have the affliction, right, you're not going to go into it. Is it still coming from us? I haven't gotten that far yet. I've only gotten to the point where I know it's going to happen again. That and I'll have yet another chance to try to try to say it's
Right.
coming from me and
So
leave
that's
that
a kind
poor person alone.
Oh, good. Leave that poor person alone. The one that my karma forced into making me upset, right? Leave them alone. So the awareness of that, I'm just in between mental affliction mode, right? That's a kind of being awake to samsara. You know that it's coming. You're ready. Oh, there it is. Okay. My chance to either perpetuate it or not. And then on to the next one. So that is a kind of being awake to samsara. Because we could say samsara is that state of mind that blames everything and everybody for what's happening to me. I mean, that's not the definition of samsara, but if we wanted to explain what's it like to be a samsaric human, you know, here I am and everything's coming at me and it all makes me either happy or unhappy. And I blame it, so I want more and I want less, and I act to try to get it. And everything I do to try to get it isn't actually what makes the next thing happen. And it's just so obvious, right? That's true. That's samsara. And the obvious that it's true and the determination that it's true, that's being asleep to samsara, right? Our waking state in our samsara is being asleep to samsara. So if we wake up to samsara, what we wake up to is that obviously not true experience of that they are all doing that to me. But I hear myself say that and it's like, yeah, but then is it not happening at all? No, of course it is. But it's happening in a different way than it seems like it's happening. And we all know the punchline is coming from me. But even when we do this, we're mistaken in the sense because that leaves the me still being the real one, and everything else is just projections. Did you feel your mind do what my mind did? Just projections. It's all real, but not real, but me. Yeah, okay, Nutty. But me, right? Me's real. Me is real. Everything else is projection. So that's only half awake in samsara. Everything else is projection, but me, I'm real. There's still part of me that's sleeping. So like our punchline ought to be, our hand ought to be so that it includes our me. Our projections include our me. But then that one gets a little bit slippery, as Arya Nagarjuna is showing us. It's like, well, if me is included in the projection, first of all, who's doing the projecting? And second of all, if me is just projection like everything else, then it's changing 65 per instant. Will the real me please stand up? Right. There is no real me. There's the me of this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. So how solid is that? How hurt can that me get if it's changed by the time the person has yelled at me? I'm different. But I'm not so different that I'm a different person, or that I'm not there in the room with the person still yelling at me. But I am, right? This shifting, 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 shifting. And the extent to which I can identify with that being a part of this ripening happening, the more dissociated I am from the self-existent real me that thinks it has to get its way. And I can replace that with a not self-existent, loving, caring me who cares about how my response is going to impact that apparent other. That loving, caring wisdom me is no more real than the selfish, self-existent me. It's not like we're replacing a me that I thought was real that isn't real with a me that is real. That loving, caring, almost Buddha me is also projected me. Subject-object interaction between constant. And so we don't want to get the wrong idea, which we do almost automatically, of, oh, none of this is real. None of it has its nature. And think, oh, well, then like in a dream, it doesn't matter what happens because you can't really get hurt. It is true. Samsara exists just like dreams exist. But it's not true that nothing matters. It is true that even when we get hurt in samsara, we really didn't get hurt. Well, our seeds ripened the experience, me getting hurt. But it's no more real than in a dream. And it's very real in a dream when you're in the dream and you don't know it's a dream. Samsara is that real. It is real. But not the way we think is Nagarjuna's punchline, right? What makes it real is our conceptualization of it. Too big a word. Our idea, our experience, our seeds ripening, our projection. Find a word that works for you, that triggers a glimpse into, oh man, like the lotus turning mudra is what does it for me. And I don't know if it means anything to anybody else, but it's like, this is life, right? Me and my world, just this constant shape-shifting. And it's supposed to be the lotus blooming, but it's like boom, ring, 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 and it's all just like, this is being, not samsara, not samsara, it's all in it, just constant shape-shifting. And can I be in that identity of this constant shape-shifting outflow of reality, right? The world that my seeds are making constantly. And my subject side is a part of it. And it can all be exquisite and beautiful and amazing no matter what's happening. And I can describe it, but I can't hold it. Right? I can feel it when I'm in meditation, but as soon as my eyes flip open, everything looks the same. And my habit is to go, oh, nuts. Right? It doesn't look like rainbows, or somehow I think that a non-samsaric world is going to look different than the one I see right now. But is it going to be different when I no longer see things as self-existent? Have anything I've ever experienced been self-existent? No, never. Never, ever, ever, ever. Since beginningless time, have I actually experienced a self-existent thing. Everything I've ever experienced has been projected. I just never knew it. So is the tree going to look different when I see it as a projection? When I see it for what it really is? No, because it always was that. What's going to be different? Right? In my heart, in my mind, I believe until things look different, I'm not successful in my practice. But they're not going to look different. What's going to be different, do you think? Yeah. Yeah, like it's like beyond words, right? What's going to be different? Somehow my identity is going to be different, or my reaction, right? My reaction is going to be different. I posit that there'll be no such thing as reaction. There'll be respond, right? Create. Plant. Claire says my awareness will be different, right? Not even my awareness. Awareness will be different. But what I see, what I taste, but if I still have a physical body, I will still see, hear, smell, taste, touch, think, emote. Those will all still happen. But somehow I'll be really different. And it's like, to me, the difference is my awareness of this little me in the middle of a whole bunch of stuff that's coming at me? Or is my awareness of some, still thing, but creating it as I go, not I go, creating it as language fails, creating it as it happens. And ving, which doesn't negate our existence. It in fact shows us how infinitely infinite we are. And we can have that level of awareness even as we are in a physical world. And when we're there, that physical world is no longer samsaric. So now maybe it's not going to look any different, but it's sure going to interact differently. Right, personal valid perception for each being. So we've heard Geshe-la say, you can reach nirvana tomorrow and come to class next Wednesday, and none of the rest of us would necessarily know because you don't look any different. Same idea. It's so hard, right? Isn't it? To really pin it down. All right, then. Let's go back to chapter 11. Do you need a break? Let's take a break and then go to chapter 11. I will pause the recording. Pause, not stop. Pause. Let's get our screen share up here. We'll start with this one. Hold to select multiple windows, but multiple windows going to use up my whole screen. So I'm going to do it this way. It's bigger. Make us bigger. Okie doke. Okay, I'll do the opening. We're studying this root text wisdom. In the language of India, this text is called Prajna Nama Mula Madhyamaka Karika. In the language of Tibet, it's known as Uma Tsewe Tsikler Jepasherab. In English, we call it wisdom, a song on the root of the middle way. I bow down to Manjushri, the glorious gentle voice in his guise as a teenage boy. Pauline, give us 1.1, please.
Sure, teacher. I bow down to that highest of teachers, to the fully enlightened one, who teaches us how to reach that peace, where our fantasies are about how things exist are put to a final rest.
Our fantasies about how things exist, in them, from them, so I can blame them. 1.2, Kong Li.
Okay, thank you, teacher. 1.2, I bow to the one who taught us that things happen in dependence. Nothing ends and nothing begins. Nothing stops, but nothing ever lasts forever. Nothing comes and nothing goes. No two things are different, nor are any two the same.
From them, in them. Vivian, please, 1.3.
Thank you, teacher. 1.3. Nothing grows from itself. Nothing grows from something else. Nothing grows from both, and nothing grows without a cause. There is nothing at all that grows at all.
Really? All right, change share. Hold on. Chapter 11, an analysis of beginnings and endings. Joanna. Huh?
When the great and able Lord was asked, "Can a beginning be pointed to?" he stated, "No, this wheel of pain is beginningless and endless. There is no before or after to it."
We're stuck. Phew. Janet, 11.2. Way up there at the top.
How could something beginningless and endless have a middle point? That's why you couldn't find in it a before, a later, or a now.
Why are we talking about this? I love your smile, Janet.
Because it keeps coming up that these eternal things don't have a beginning or end, and that things change, and therefore they're not eternal. None of it.
Right. Like, if we can't find an end, and you can't find an end over there, you can't find the middle. But don't we say that my now is the middle? That takes some thinking.
Yeah, but we're supposed to analyze when the future and past touch each other, and they don't
Exactly.
touch each other.
They
But you
don't.
know, I'm just repeating what we said in the previous classes.
Right. Right. But what's the significance? If you can't establish a beginning and you can't establish an end, it means you can't establish a middle, which would be our now. But that's all we have is our now. And if you can't establish a now, what the heck is there? Right, says Nagarjuna. My point exactly, says Nagarjuna. And we go, well, how is that helpful? Yes, Pauline.
Teacher, I think it's because we have a result, then because of the result, there is always a cause in front.
Right.
And then the result becomes another cause for another result.
Right.
So it's like beginningless and endless. And then if you don't have a beginning and an ending, you can't find the middle because you have nothing to, relative to the beginning or the end, then you can, if you have something, the beginning and the end, then you can find the middle.
Right.
And then teacher mentioned that anything that happens is like, before we know it, it's already past.
Right.
Shifting. Yeah.
Right. So if you can't establish a beginning to anything, how can you establish a now to anything? And if you can't establish a now to anything, then whatever's going on in the now can't end. But it does end, right? And there is a now, and things do begin. And Arya Nagarjuna goes, yeah, that's my point. Something else is going on for this perception of a before, a now, and a later. Because those things in and of themselves, you can't find them. They don't exist in and of themselves. But why are we even talking about that? What did we do in the previous chapter? Actually, the previous 4 chapters, from 6, 7, 8, 9, I think 6, we were talking about me and desire and the thing I desire, and the desire must be coming from the quality and the thing. And he's showing us, no, not the way you think, not the way you think. And in chapter 10, it was me. What comes first, you know? The me or my desire. And he says, no nature, no nature, no nature, no nature. And our Kachik says, but my me has to be there first for something to happen to it. That's how we got to chapter 11. Me has to be here for breakfast to happen. Me has to be here for these classes to be happening. And instead of saying, well, let's go look at your me, he says, let's look at beginnings and endings. Because he's addressing our me has to be here before something happens. He's looking at the before, right? Me before the next thing. And he says, let's see if we can find that moment that we're calling the now that the me is in. Because if we can't find and establish a now that me is in, independent of the me being in it, he doesn't say that, I'm adding that. If we can't find the now that we are in to be in it, what's really going on here? And the way he establishes that you can't find the now you think you're in is because if you can't find the beginning and you can't find the end, you can't fold those two together to find the middle, which would be the now. So if you can't establish a now, then when is the you that's there already for something to happen? here I am. Here I am here, Arya Nagarjuna. But I think there's a me in a moment called now, where those two somehow meet. And that now is established because there was moments before that I call my past, that I think somehow is an existing thing, my past. Because I have memories of it. So my past had to have happened. They were current moments of now, but now they're past. My future, I know I'm always going to have a future. I think it's a thing waiting for me that I'm headed towards. Like my future is always in front of me. But what if you turn around, right, and go through life backwards? Now your future's behind you. So he's going at this again, like Arya Nagarjuna, through the back door to help us in these more subtle ways. How could something beginningless and endless have a middle point? And that's why you couldn't find in it a before or a later or a now. In what? In this string of beginningless and endlessness of the me here before something happens to me. That's what we want to keep in mind. Right, let's go on. Who's up? Roxana.
Thank you, dear Lama. Say that birth comes before, and old age and death come afterward. Those born would neither age nor die, and you'd be born without having died.
Let's go on. Oh, Kong Lee, you have your hands up. Does that mean you want to read or you have something to say?
Ask question.
Okay, please. Use your mic up. I can't hear otherwise.
Okay, can hear me?
Yes.
The previous one, 11.2. Actually, this one, there's no before or later or now. Is it another implications? Don't go and find, whatever is before, whatever is going to be, just take it as it is and do your planting. Is it something like that?
It is something like that.
And then another question is there any, meaning that, if let's say, for example, we have our TPE, direct perceptions of emptiness, then only it is our end. We have a chance to wake up from the samsara or something like that. Because our end, if let's say we want to like, you know, uh, sort of like break this samsara, our getaway is, if unless you have your DPE, you see emptiness. So is there any implication in here, or it just say Nagarjuna just want to say that, just take it as it is, don't go and find whatever is before or whatever is going to be.
His point is, what is his point? His whole premise of this book is dependent origination, cause and effect is projections happening. those projections happening ripen all the worldly laws of cause and effect. The worldly cause and effects are not the real cause and effects. Our projection of the worldly cause and effects is the real cause of everything. Projections are made by what we perceive ourselves thinking, doing, saying. And nothing exists in any other way than that is the empty nature of the subject-object interaction between. So rather than focusing on pointing out the emptiness factor, he's pointing out the misunderstood causes and effect relationships that we hold to as samsaric reasons for things happening. And he's showing us in detail how those cause-effect relationships that we believe in so strongly as ignorant beings only are the cause and effect relationships that work in the way that they do, forced by the projections of our minds. He's not saying it in so many words, right? He wants us to catch the dependent origination at its most deep level.
Oh, okay, put it this way. If let's say we can understand everything is dependent origination, automatically we understand this is emptiness.
Because of emptiness, we will understand the empty nature of all things when we understand deeply the dependent origination of things. Because the deepest dependent origination of things is the things' profound natures, which is their no nature, their no nature, their no self nature.
Okay, yeah. So which means he clear everything, then the rest leave it to you to think about it. Something like that.
Right. Right. Okay. So 11.3 was suppose death comes before and old age and death come after. That's what we believe, right? Those born would neither age nor die, and you'd be born without having died. That's really a cooker. If they are self-existent, meaning independent of any other factor, then, I mean, it's ridiculous. We don't believe that they're independent of any other factor. We believe they're all interrelated. And he goes, right, so let's sort out where those three existing things touch. Does birth have to come first? And then we get old and then we die? But how could you be born out of nothing? You had to have died before you could be born. So death comes first. You had to die from the other life to be born into this one. So death comes first. It's death and then birth and then aging, right? Well, wait. No, because you couldn't have died in that life if you hadn't been born in that life. And you couldn't have been born in that life if you haven't died from a life before that. So, like, which order does it happen? If we insist that they have this relationship of time before, middle, end, then we should be able to establish which one's on the beginning end and which one's on the ending end, and where am I in the middle? Because we're looking for the me that's there before we have an experience, because we insist that I am there first, and then David makes me pancakes. 11.4. Who's up next? Where were we? Roxana read, did we read? Conley, 11.4, please.
I think Joanna haven't read.
Pull your,
Joanna haven't read yet. I
oh,
just
Joanna,
want-
thank you. Joanna, 11.4, thank you, Conley, for paying attention.
Thank you, Kungli. 11.4. Say that birth comes afterwards, and old age and death come before it. You'd age and die without a birth. How could they come without a cause?
Point 5. Somebody read.
Okay, teacher, I'll read.
Okay.
It would be strange to say our birth, aging, and death come all at once. You had been dying as you were born, and both would come without a cause.
Yeah, so this one seems absurd, but Arya Nagarjuna is just covering all the different possibilities, right? So if we can't tell whether birth or death comes first, well, then an alternative is that they all come at the same time. And that's ridiculous, right? You'd be dying while you're born. You'd be aging while you're dying. Now you're kind of already done aging by the time you're dying. It doesn't happen simultaneously. We know that. Or does it? I mean, technically, seed ripening, seed ripening, seed ripening. That seed that ripens now somehow has to include that I was born, because here I am. And it has to include that I have, had 70 and a month years of life, because here I am, that perceiving myself that old. And maybe they are actually happening all simultaneously. But that's not his point. 11.6, Janet, please.
Our birth, our aging, and our death are impossible, whichever one you choose. Before, after, or all at once, why persist in telling tales?
That isn't the conclusion that our minds naturally go to, is it? It's like, well, if birth can't come first and death can't come first, and they can't happen all at once, oh my gosh, they must not happen at all. Wait a minute, yes, they do. How is it that they are impossible? We're investigators, we know the punchline. Impossible versus invisible. Tell me. How is it that birth, aging, and death are impossible, whichever one you choose? Tell me.
We think they're self-existently, so the impossible thing is that they have a nature of their own, dying and getting born. And the invisible is something else is going on that we can't perceive directly. So the
Right.
birth and the death that we perceive are illusions in the right way, So they are not the thing that we think they are.
Right, not the thing that we think they are, and not coming from what we think they're coming from. And
Because of
not
my,
related. Go ahead, Janet.
because of my self-absorption, it could not possibly come from me.
Can't possibly. Isn't that peculiar? Wouldn't you think our self-absorption would go, wow, it's all coming from me? Cool, I'm on it. But we
Well,
go, yeah.
The self-absorption, because of it, wants to blame somebody else.
Exactly. We are so peculiar. Even our selfishness is inconsistent. Why persist in telling tales? Lama Christie is using that term in the sense of elaboration. The term is elaboration. Elaboration means that it's the process where the data is being processed, and the Chicharok happening becomes this story. And so the elaboration is our experiences, the identification of our experiences. Persist in telling tales means we're telling ourselves this story. Like me and my world is this story that's happening. And within that story, as Janet pointed out, is this is all happening to me. They are doing that to me, because I for sure do not want to take personal responsibility for everything. That's all elaboration. It's all conceptualizations that of the information into a story. Our karma is making a story. Our karmas are telling tales about the being born experience having some kind of cause that makes it happen to us. That aging has some cause that makes it happen to us. That our dying has a cause that makes it happen to us. And where we are now, that story has our death having been a thing that happened, and our death being a thing that's going to happen. So in a sense, it's already there in the future somehow. And our aging is something that's happening to me. And he's saying, if you cannot establish those as existing things. They are impossible. Here in my mind goes, no, they're not. They happen. Yes, they happen, but not as things with their own natures, right? Language so fails. Yes, we got birthed. Yes, we are older than we were when we got birthed. Yes, I know people who got birthed and aged and have died. But none of it has happened in the way that I believe it has happened, or for the reasons that I believe that it has happened. All of those experiences being unique to, I almost said me, being unique to this one makes all of those experiences being coming from something other than what I believe they were coming from. Yes, my friend's wife died of congestive heart failure. Her experience of her wife dying of congestive heart failure is completely different than my experience of her wife dying of congestive heart failure. And we think, no, same experience. No, of course not. Why persist in telling tales? Our birth, our aging, our death are just impossible. Roxana, 11, 7, and 8, please.
Thank you, Julama. Not only does this wheel of pain have no beginning point, but neither too does any event that exists at all. not the very law of causes and results, not the functioning of objects and their qualities, not the interplay of feeling and what it feels. There's not one single thing at all that has a starting point.
I think that's the end. Let me check.
Yeah. Julema, you asked a question a while back ago and you said, how can we be aware of our samsara, right?
Mhm.
And right now that Lama Christie addresses the tales that we make up, I was thinking it's like being on a spaceship,
Mhm.
and I would just shift the gear to awareness of my samsara. Then I thought, then I have to press other buttons. I have to press the buttons of knowledge, of cognition, of wisdom, of four powers, of rejoicing. I mean, to press all those buttons at the same time and have them all functioning,
Yeah,
it's so easy, like to press in a machine.
right.
But as an individual, it's so hard because there's an inherent existence that we cannot predict. There's things that are empty of that I can only perceive as a projection and give them a name, a label. If I were to be a machine and just be pressing, just have the buttons all pressed all together at once, like the ripen is going like the mudra that you make, you know, I think it would be like non-human, right? Completely non-human to fail and to correct and to learn. For me, it's learning, the only thing that can avoid me, to give me away a little bit further from more samsara, or perpetuating more samsara. I don't know if I make my point clear, but it's difficult to explain. But as it says here, not the interplay of feeling and what it feels. There's not one single thing at all that has a starting point. So if there's nothing at all that has a starting point, as Nagarjuna wants us to understand, where do we stand? I mean, where do we stand in this process? In trying to figure it out, I mean, it's like a puzzle for me. It's like too many factors, and at the end, I know the punchline at the end, but it's too easy, the punchline, and it doesn't lead me to a proper conclusion, to a clear understanding, to a clear world view. Because, for example, I woke up this morning and I thought, oh, I have a problem with this person, a Dharma person. I had to take a decision that it was for her own good. But it doesn't make me feel good. So if it doesn't make me feel good, I need to meditate on that.
Right.
A seed ripened, right? A seed ripened. So then I go, okay, now do Tongling on her. Now do this, do that. I have the awareness of what I have to do. But at the end, it's just actions. It's just subject-object interaction.
Right.
Right? It's awareness happening.
Right.
But I mean, I can't control the next seed that it's going to ripen.
Right.
I can't control anything. So where do we stand?
Janet has an answer.
It's
Or
Great,
come-
Janet, my friend Janet. Come on, Janet. You just gave me a great news right now.
but it's coming from all of us. It's coming from you.
I know, but that's the punchline. That's the punchline. It's coming from me. It's projections,
right.
right? It's always the same punchline.
So what
But
do
it
I
has
want to
be
create?
something-
Right.
It has to like go chase the beginning, go chase the final part, go chase something else. And I don't like the punchline that it's so easy that when we say it's just projections, it's just coming from you. That does, I mean, I understand that, but it's not me. It's not like, it doesn't make sense because it's so easy to understand that. But in real life, the puzzle is so different.
In real life. What real life would that be, Joanna?
In my daily routine.
Right. Okay. So our job this week is to cook this last verse. And I promise we'll start at this verse and we'll go into chapter 12 maybe next time. But there's not one single thing at all that has a starting point. Cook that. What's the implication? That nothing ever starts. When they seem to start all the time.
That we can practice a deep emptiness meditation with Lama Sarani successfully.
Yes. We can.
In theory.
Right. They will ripen. Seeds planted, they will ripen.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing this for. Yes, Pauline.
May I share something, dear Lama?
Okay, we're out of time, so quick.
Okay, just so you know, Janet just shared with me, she said, we're going to be having a meditation retreat with Lama Sarani during the month of January. I'm looking at the places right now. I have to decide what places it'll be. I have 3 options. Okay, so you're welcome to Mexico City. That's where the retreat will be. It will be starting on the 3rd of January, so you can start making the plans.
All right.
There are going to be beautiful places that I'm trying to select the most beautiful places as a retreat. So it's coming soon. Just as I decided on the places and looked them over with Lama Sarani, I'll let you know. So
Excellent.
January 3rd to January the 12th,
All right.
Mexico City.
And Janet wants emptiness meditations.
Yeah.
You're on.
Well, I gotta get the meditation part down first. It's a
Oh.
whole process, and then we'll
Oh.
get to emptiness. I can't even hold a thought for 15 minutes, remember? So we gotta work on that.
All you need is 20. All right, so meditation skills. All right, we'll do that. Yes, Pauline, thanks for reminding us. Thanks for the advertisement, Roxana.
Teacher, regarding these last 2 sentences, I thought just now we have already discussed that everything has to have a cause before the result, and the result is another cause for the new result. So there cannot be a starting point, but the starting point that we think, I mean, things happen is projections. It's not in the way we think things started.
Right. And so where's the you?
Where's the you?
Where's the you that's starting the projection that becomes the projection getting in your car and driving to the grocery store? It had to have a start. And didn't you have to be there to start the start of the projection going to the grocery store?
No, because it's not the self-existing me.
Right.
Even me, I'm myself. I mean, myself is also a projection.
Exactly.
So I don't have to be there because it already
You don't
explains
have to
that.
be there to ripen your karma. Yes, you do.
Not in the way we think.
All right.
So not in the way we think.
Right.
So I don't have to be self-existingly be there physically.
Right.
I mean,
Not only do you not have to be, you can't be, because self-existent you is impossible.
yeah. I mean, I don't have to be there.
Right.
I'm there, but I'm there forced by my projection. So I'm not
You were there second.
self-existently there. Yeah.
Right. The projection happens and then I'm there.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Karma ripens and then you see it.
Sorry?
Karma ripens and then you see it.
Yes. I see
Right.
myself in these appearances and everything.
Right. And there's no starting point of that. It's just
Yes.
shape-shifting.
Projections. Yes. Shifting. Yes.
Which means in any apparent moment, every possibility is possible
Yes.
at any moment, right?
Yes. I can create it.
And then it's not all that, it's this. And then it's not all that, it's this. And so there's no me there first that everything's happening to.
Yes.
Like that's the conclusion of chapter 11. The analysis of beginnings and endings. Oh, you can't find any such thing. That doesn't seem so profound. But his idea was the me I think that's there first is the beginning of what's happening to me. Can't be.
It's not possible.
So we need to cook that deeply. And then what's our Mr. Kachik going to say? Because that's going to make chapter 12. Let's see if we can predict chapter 12, although I am going to send it to you. Don't look at it until you cook the end of chapter 11 and see what your self-existent me says. Yeah, but Nagarjuna, see if you can come up with what chapter 12 is going to be. Okay? Thank you for playing. Thank you for the discussion at the beginning. Very helpful. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help. Our discussions have actually planted seeds in our minds that will go on to help them in that deep and ultimate way someday. And that's an extraordinary goodness. So please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy guide. See how happy they are with you. Grow your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to guide you, inspire you, help you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. That love, that compassion, that wisdom. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it by the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person. To share it with everyone you love. To share it with every being you've ever seen or heard of. See them all filled with happiness, filled with wisdom, filled with the ability to keep their mind on a single object for 20 minutes. And may it be so. I think 15 minutes is doing great, Janet. Don't sell yourself short.
No, I cannot hold it for
Okay.
15 minutes.
Good for you. Okay, have a great week.
Thank you,
Oh.
teacher. Bye-bye.
Stopping the recording.
Thank you, teacher. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.